So there are many kinds of Qigong. Qigong I practice and teach is rooted in what we call the Chinese internal arts tradition. So that includes some of the internal martial arts. The most famous is Tai Chi, also Bagua, Bagua Zhang, and Xing Yi Tuan, as well as some classic Qigong forms like the Ba Duan Jin, the 8 pieces of silk and brocade, and sinew transforming Qigong, and so on. So the essence of all these internal arts practices is they integrate skill with body, skill with breath, and skill with mind. And they have core practices, which we actually call Neigong, internal skill, where we develop skill in with these three treasures, body, breath, and mind, and then they are transferred into whatever form we practice. There are specific kinds of Neigong for Bagua and for Xingyi, but a lot of the Neigong is common to all the internal arts. So before we practice any form, including these 5 movements for the 5 Zhang, we should practice, ideally over and over and over, some really core skills. And we start with standing. So we stand with the feet shoulder width apart, like so, and the insides of the feet are parallel. We release the knees, and that allows the whole pelvic basin, and particularly the sacrum and the lower back, to release down, 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 down into the earth. The more we can release any holding or tension in the groins, in the hips, in the lower back, the more the sacrum can just release down, 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 down. We don't push it down, we let it hang. And then we make sure that we keep this arch open. It's quite common that we do a lot of rising and falling. If our knees creep in, for example, if our arches are weak, we collapse in on the arches. That means we put too much pressure on the inside of the knee. So we want to keep this open, and we want to feel the whole foot on the floor, including its outside edge. So when we feel we've been able to release down here, that will gently pull the lumbar vertebra open and create more space in the lower back. And then above, we tuck the chin down slightly, and softly, without stress or tension, we lengthen up through the very center of the head and neck, actually from Bai Hui, do 20, up into heaven. More like growing up, more like a plant growing towards the light. And that will lengthen and open the neck vertebra and the vertebra of the upper spine. So the body is held like that. Down and up at the same time. Then we widen the shoulder blades and we bring the arms in front so that we have a nice curve in the upper back, and the armpits are open. The opposite of open armpits is arms compressed to the body, which compresses and blocks the shoulder. We want free flow through the body. We want everything open, and actually having the armpit open will help us soften and relax through the armpit into the shoulder joint. So we soften the shoulder joint, we drop the shoulders and the shoulder blades. Shoulder blades, triangles mimic the sacrum, releasing down and dropping. Relax the forehead, the lower sinuses, the jaw. We rest the tip of the tongue against the top palate, just behind the top teeth, and soften down through the tongue into the throat. And the chest just hangs naturally. There's no lifting or thrusting. It hangs like an empty bell. So inside the chest, the heart is quiet and the lungs are quiet. And having established this open, released structure, we can practice holding this for up to 20 minutes actually. It's quite commonly done. And what that entails is being present, being aware of our breathing, and most importantly, releasing. So for most of us, especially at the beginning, after a minute or two, start to feel tension or discomfort or pain. So we just practice release. Release, release, release. Release down. Let everything soften and release downwards, as long as we stay long here. Okay, then we can start to develop skill with breathing. So if we make loose fists and just rest them on the back here. And first, so shoulders are dropped. Just feel that connection between the backs of the hands and the lower back. How pleasant it is, how comfortable, maybe how nourishing it is. Okay, then we become aware of our breathing. Now, the essence of breathing in the internal method is always to breathe in and preferably out through the nose. Take the breath all the way down. So we don't think about the upper chest, we don't think about the side chest. We want to take the breath down to this lower core. So let's imagine actually that we're breathing in through the navel. And the breath comes in through the navel, travels into the core, can travel down into the pelvic basin, and then it can particularly travel through to the back where our hands are. So as we breathe in, we feel the lower back beneath our hands fill, expand. And then we release that. Now, this slow lower abdominal breathing can be difficult at first for a couple of reasons. One is we might be used to chest breathing, so we feel we can't get the breath down. It kind of stays stuck here, and the more we try, the more tense and tight we feel in the upper chest or the mid chest. So just relax, don't push it too hard, and practice. It comes with practice. Eventually this can all stay relaxed. What we're aiming to do is take the diaphragm down as far as possible. So the second reason it can be hard is that we are not very good at slow breathing. So the important thing is to encourage slow breathing, but never to force the breath. So if you can, I'm going to set a rough guideline for breathing tempo, but if it's too slow, go at your own speed. So a good speed would be breathing out, and then in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, and out. And in, and out. And in, and as we go breathe out, we release down, almost like we think of the body as like a single piece of elastic that rests into itself. It can stretch and it can just rest back into itself. So here it rests into itself, and as we breathe in, starting from the feet, we lengthen through the elastic body like this, softly. And breathe out and release. Breathe in. We're particularly interested in lengthening through, we call this the lower gates, this whole area here, to lengthen and to close, and to lengthen and close. It's the secret of a lot of physical health and well-being. This is a very core area, but also the secret of skilled movement, both in normal life, walking, dancing, playing games, sports, martial arts, climbing trees, whatever. A fluid and flexible core. So what we can do to help us connect with that is put the hands on the front of the thighs, and we're going to lengthen. At the moment we're going to focus on lengthening through the front of the thighs up to here, up through the groins and above, like this. Breathe in. And out. And in. And out. Now you can do that for as long as you like. Now we're going to take the hands to the sides, lengthen up through the sides of the thighs and through the hip joints. And always remember, we're lengthening to 80-90% of our capacity, never 100%. If we lengthen to 100%, we create tension. It wants to say soft. Take the hands to the back of the thighs, lengthen up through the back of the thighs. You can turn the hands to here and up through the lower back and release. And then when you've practiced with front, sides and back, just the whole area. Now it's very common, if we've got a typical early 21st century human body, when we were kids we had really elastic fluid waists. Then we started sitting endlessly, doing little movement, or the movements we're doing very kind of linear movements. So we lose all this elasticity, and the fascia, the tissues, thicken and get matted. So it can be quite hard to actually move through these areas. So at the beginning, maybe we just have to imagine this elastic opening and closing, and then the more we practice, the more it comes. It may also be, if you're not used to it, this slow movement, very little movement, can feel frustrating. You might feel you want to really move your body. Well, the answer is stick with it if you can. If we have a desperate need to move the body, what we're encountering, what we're experiencing, is stagnation. And if we feel frustrated or irritated or angry when we do very slow, still movement, we're encountering emotional stagnation. And with practice, feeling what's going on in the core of the body, taking deep, slow, nourishing breaths into the lower core. And having a quiet mind which dwells happily in breath and body. We transform our state. Okay. And then finally, the last part of this introductory Neigong. So we're going to do a bit of wrapping, what we call wrapping. So take the arms a bit more forward and turn them in like this. And you feel what we call wrapping in the upper back. It's going out and round, and the tissues of the arms are wrapping around the bones. And we use the downward pointed hands to help us take all this down. And now we're going to rise and fall like we've been doing, lengthening and release, lengthening and release. And at the same time, we're going to unwrap and wrap the other way. Breathe out, wrap in, and release down, 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 down. Breathe in, unwrap and lengthen. Okay, so we can increase the wrap by working with the legs as well. So when we rise and open up, we do the movement in the legs as though we were going to bring our heels in together, but we don't let them move. So we do that movement, so we're rotating the ankles, yeah? And that will cause the tissues of the leg to mimic the tissues of the arm and open outwards. So the heels go towards each other without moving. And then heels go away from each other as we descend. Not too strongly, just a light movement. Opening out the front of the body. Releasing that and opening up the back of the body. So when we open the front, we can feel the pubic bones and the groins widening and opening. And releasing back. And we can feel shoulders nest here for acupuncturists where lung 1 and 2 are located, where the lung channel emerges, and across here that widens and opens along with the groins and pubic bones, and releases back. Heels going towards each other, opening up. Heels go away from each other, and now we feel the lower back, the sacrum and the lower back widen, wrapping outwards as the arm tissue wraps in. Open the front. Heels away from each other, we open across the lower back and sacrum and in the upper back. So it's actually eventually the feeling that the whole front of the body opens like a flower. The back of the body opens and widens. This wrapping, this spiraling of the soft tissue and the sinews is one of the secrets of the internal arts and gives a lot of strength and power to the sinews of the body. We're not really that interested in developing muscle bulk. We want fluid, elastic tissues with a kind of hidden steel to them that comes from practicing spiraling and then end up back in the standing position. So we call this Neigong, internal Go, and then we carry what we've practiced into whatever form we decide to learn and to practice regularly. In this case, we carry it into the Qigong for the 5 Zang.